Hey guys, now in this video let's discuss instance ID in Azure Durable Functions. So we will discuss what it is, why we need it, and then we will discuss how we can use it. And we will also discuss we may need to store this instance ID in our database. So guys, what is this instance ID? So it is a unique ID, that is unique identifier of our orchestrator instance. See guys, in our previous two videos, we have seen a demo of Azure Durable Function, right? So basically, there we have triggered our orchestrator function. That is, there we have our orchestrator instance running. So for example, if I show you the previous code, so guys, in our previous video, we have discussed this example, that is human interaction, that is external event. So basically, we want to onboard a new employee in our system, right? So for that, see guys, this highlighted code. So this is API, or this is the starting point. So basically, when we hit this API, so here, see this, we are calling our orchestrator function, right? And what we have in this orchestrator function? See, this is our orchestrator function. So basically in this orchestrator function, we are calling multiple activity functions. So this is activity function, this is activity function, this is activity function, right? So now when a particular instance of this orchestrator instance is running, it will always have a unique ID. Or you can also consider, let's say, when a new employee A is being onboarded, so for that new employee A, will have a separate instance of this orchestrator running. Now let's say we want to onboard another employee, let's say B. So for that employee B as well, we will have a separate instance of this orchestrator running. So this separate instance, it is instance ID. And now let's discuss why we may need this instance ID. So first thing, of course, we can track status of our orchestrator. So for example, see guys, this code is already running, right? And if we hit this API, it will start our orchestrator instance. So let's copy it and let's call it. And you can see our debugger has been hit, and now here it will schedule this orchestrator instance. That means it will start this orchestrator instance, right? So I will say continue. And see guys, basically here we are returning the details of this orchestrator instance, and which we can see on our UI. So now these are the details of our orchestrator instance running, and this is that instance ID. So basically this ID, it is our instance ID, and it is unique for each orchestrator running instance. And this instance ID, it provides the further information about this orchestrator. So for example, what is the status, whether it's been running or whether it's been completed, right? So for example, I can simply copy this URI which gives the status. See this, and if I run it, and see, it says runtime status is running. That means it is still running, right? And if I go up in my orchestrator method, see, basically this orchestrator, it has executed these three activity methods, but now it is waiting for this external event to occur. And once that external event occurs, this orchestrator will get completed. So let's actually submit this external event. So again, to submit it, let's just copy this URL. I will paste it over here, and to this we need to append this instance ID. So this is our instance ID. Let's copy it, and here I will say question mark instance ID is equal to this one. And now let's say enter, and again you see our API has been called, and now this will trigger that external event, that is laptop received event. And you see we are publishing this event to this instance ID, that is, see this instance ID, right? And this is the instance ID of our currently running orchestrator instance, or you can see it over here as well. See this, right? So now let's just publish this laptop received event to this orchestrator instance. So here I will say continue, and if I cross check, see it says project has been assigned to employee. So that means now our orchestrator instance has been completed. And now let's cross check. See, earlier it shows this runtime status as running, and now if I say refresh, see it says completed. So we can track the status. Then as you can guess, we can publish event to a particular instance of our orchestrator. See guys, what I mean is, see this code. Here we are publishing that laptop received event to a particular instance ID, right? So again, there might be multiple instances of this Azure Durable Functions might be running, but of course we want to publish this event to a particular instance of that running instance, right? So here we can publish it using this instance ID only. And then let's say we want to terminate our orchestrator instance. So again we can terminate it using instance ID. And now let's discuss how exactly we can use this instance ID, right? So first, let's say you have UI, and from this UI you want to get the status of this running orchestration. So how you can get it? So basically what you can do is you can create an API. To this API you can provide instance ID, and then this API it will return the status of that orchestration, and that status you can display on your UI. Now guys, in real world you will most probably save this instance ID in your DB, and most probably you will also save the status of this instance ID or your custom status in your DB. See guys, what I mean is, durable functions, they of course provide the status of our orchestration based on this instance ID, right? But then at the end, we store all this information in our storage account, right? So let's say tomorrow we delete all this old data from storage account. So obviously in that case, we cannot find this status based on this instance ID, right? So that's why we may store this instance ID as well as status in our database, or most probably we will save our custom status in our database. So if we discuss an example, so we can have a database table something like this. So we may have columns like employee ID, name, but guys observe this, we have column instance ID and we have status. So basically see this, we can store this instance ID and this status, or we can store our custom status as well in our database table. And obviously this information will always be available with us, so as and when required we can find out the onboarding status of this employee. In fact, we can have another table, let's say audit table or history table, and it can maintain onboarding history. That means it can maintain when ID was created, when email ID was created, when laptop was sent, all this. So again, yes, durable functions, it can maintain this state or status for us, but we can also explicitly maintain in our database. And how we can achieve this? So guys, let's say from here our orchestration process starts, right? So here, in addition to this, we can add a code to update our database table. So for example, see this code. So when orchestration has started, I can add a record in my table and I can update the status as orchestration started. So again, I am maintaining instance ID and the status in my own table, right? Now let's say here an email ID has been created for that employee, right? So in addition to this, I can also add my code to update the status in my database table, and I can say email ID has been created. Similarly, when this orchestration process gets completed, I can update the status as orchestration completed. So again, I'm maintaining all this information in my database table. So that's it guys. Thanks for listening.